go through all of our shoulder motions. So, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thinking about goniometry, we're going to start.
Just checking.
Did you put deodorant on?
I did. It
Okay.
smells good.
So thinking about goniometry and remembering how one of the first things we do before we take the range and the actual measurement is to take them through passive range of motion and then have them actively do it, right? What position do we get our patient in?
Supine.
Supine. So let's have you lie supine for me. Fantastic. Now, if need be, we can grab a sheet or towel, long, like a big towel. If you grab one of the little hand towels, it's probably not going to do much for you. Okay? But you can grab a sheet. And if we're worried about dignity, we don't want our patient looking at us.
Don't put a toe tag on.
Just don't put a toe tag on them or dump any water on them. Okay? So let's say we want to just work on the left shoulder here. Okay? It's going to be very similar. We're as far as draping goes, we're going to make sure that this is covering the entire body and even a little bit onto the area that we're going to be moving. So the sheet actually comes all the way down to her elbow for her to bring her out here. And that's just to make sure that we have enough so that if it starts to move, then we're not going to pull the sheet up. And if I need to, I can pull it up and tuck it under a little bit just to make sure that she's nice and covered if I'm worried about that dignity or if the patient's worried about it. Okay? But I still have plenty of ability to move her around without restricting the motion. So shoulder flexion, this is a nice little review for you guys because we went over this in kinesiology, but we're going to start out in just a full elbow extension position, and then as we bring her up, so I've got my distal hand is kind of crossing and holding her wrist, right? I'm not down here so it's flopping around. I'm right here. I bring her up, and as I bring her up, instead of crossing my hands like that or arms like that, what do? Switch, right? I get up here, I don't have to worry quite as much about the elbow because it's just being supported, it's straight. I don't have to worry about it flopping or anything like that because I've got her supported up here. So I just slide it up, slide the other one down, and I go down to, do I go past resistance?
No.
I just go to resistance, right? Because if I start going past, what does it become? A stretch. And we're not stretching. That's next time. Okay? This is just range of motion. So we come to resistance, end of range, and then we bring her back. Nice and easy, back and forth. Okay? So this is shoulder flexion. Shoulder extension can be done in a couple different ways. If you want to, or if the patient has the ability, or for whatever reason you feel you need to, you can have the patient lie prone, but we can also do it in supine. I'm going to switch to the other side so you can see here. Yes, I would. She already did it. Didn't have to ask her to, but she scooted herself close to the edge. I'm actually going to have you scoot just a little bit more. There we go, right there. Okay. So with extension, all I have to do is make sure that the elbow's supported and hold her wrist, and then I take her down into hyperextension of that shoulder. Again, I start to feel that resistance, and then I come back up. Okay. Obviously, I want to make sure my body mechanics are okay, and so I make sure that, but I want you guys to see. So we just bring her all the way down and then come back up. So if I was really going to do this, I'd get nice and wide on my stance. I'm only worrying about going from neutral to hyperextension, so all I have to do is now go down like that and then come back up. Like that and come back up. Okay, nice rhythmical, slow motion.
Can you do it from a seated position?
You could, yeah. You grab a stool and sit down. Shoulder add and abduction. Okay, again, we've gone through these in kinesiology. With abduction, well, with adduction, we're here and we don't have to worry too much about it. That's not a motion that you usually have to worry about a ton. People usually guard in that position, so, but if if we want to work on true adduction, we can come out to abduction and bring her in like that and just make the focus to, but we'll do them both together, okay? So add and abduction. We start in this position. Now, abduction, I can walk myself out like this and then have her make sure we go into that external rotation of the shoulder, right? And then bring her back in internal rotation as I come into adduction. Or, do I have to worry too much about the elbow? Is it going to affect anything if I let it bend? I can let it bend, right? So I can start here, get past me, get her into that external rotation, and back. Abduct, and then back to adduction. Okay? So there's add and abduction. The next motion, shoulder internal and external rotation, we can again do with the patient sitting or lying supine. We can have them standing, we can have them sitting, just kind of however you want to work it. But if we're going through all the other shoulder motions and they're in this position, why not keep them in this position, right? I'll give you a scoop center there. And that's just to give her a little bit more support for when I do internal and external rotation. So I've got her supported by the table there. I brought her out to 90 degrees of abduction. And I'm going to support her elbow while I support the wrist and take her into external rotation. She's got a good amount. And then I take her into internal rotation. And I was probably stretching a little bit with that internal rotation. So right there, I'm getting resistance, so I'm just going to come back. Resistance, go the opposite direction. Okay, because we're not doing stretching exercises. So there's internal, external rotation.
That one's the one if somebody's got like impingement syndrome, which they're not very tolerant of having that humerus jam up against the acromion, you could do it in a less abducted position. Have them kind of more in this position here, like 45 degrees instead of coming out to 90. And then you can still get full IR and ER, but you're not making the person like uncomfortable. Because as somebody that has impingement syndrome, that's just not a very comfortable position for me to do that range. And I have a lot better range if I'm down low. So those are things to kind of think about.
Yeah, it's one of those 4 things we got to worry about, right? Patient comfort. So if getting them that ideal or optimal position doesn't work, then adjust it somehow so they are comfortable. Okay. Last one is shoulder horizontal add and abduction. This is a little tough to do supine, so I'm going to have you sit in this nice sturdy chair so you don't fall or anything like that. And then I can again bring the patient into 90 degrees of abduction, and I just come here, support the entire forearm, bring her into horizontal abduction, and then come out into, or excuse me, adduction, then abduction, then adduction, and abduction. Okay, so there's horizontal add and abduction. And those are our shoulder motions.